Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. I'm very excited for this video. And as you can see in the thumbnail, the title as well, we are talking about my expected all rookie teams for the NBA this upcoming season. Of course, the year 2022 going into 2023. And this draft was one that was huge, not only for this channel, but for a bunch of NBA teams. There's so many good, young, talented players in this draft. Obviously, you're going to get to see clips of them, some of my season projections, and exactly what I think this rookie class is going to showcase. And there's a lot of talent, like I just said. I really do believe in this class. I think that this class, there's a lot of people who said maybe there's not a superstar in here, and maybe not, but there's like 10 to 15 superstars. Maybe that's very generous in the entire NBA. This class might have multiple all-stars. It could have a ton, and I mean a ton, of very good role players as well. I really do believe that this class was very stacked from top to bottom. There was a lot of good players that were going in round two, and there's players in this class that are going to get snubbed from this list. So if I don't mention one of your favorite players from this class, or a rookie on your favorite team, it's not because I'm sleeping on them. Remember, this is all rookie teams. So some of the guys who are a little bit older maybe have a little bit of an advantage. And quite frankly, some of the guys who are at the top of the draft I believed in, they're going to be on this list, right? They're very deserving of it. And as long as they stay healthy, they're probably going to make it, which leads us into the first point I want to make here, which is on Chet Holmgren, who went down in the crossover pro-am, led by, of course, Jamal Crawford, playing against LeBron James and actually guarding LeBron one-on-one in transition. You saw him kind of hobble on that foot after a play, and it was really detrimental to his rookie season, which will have to start a year late because the Thunder have ruled him out for the entire season with a ligament injury to his foot, which is obviously something you never like to see. And all these people who are Chet Holmgren haters are probably going to say, "Hi, I told you so." This was a freak injury, and one that, quite frankly, you couldn't really expect, especially for a player with his frame. You wouldn't expect necessarily foot issues. Usually that is associated more with weight and size. Chet Holmgren obviously very slight, so the fact that he's having a foot injury definitely does hurt his outlook right now for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm really bummed because we're not going to get to see him this year. But don't worry, a year from now, he'll be on my all rookie teams. I almost guarantee that, just because, even knowing that class that's coming next year with Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, Chet Holmgren's going to be right in the thick of things for probably the rookie of the year race, which also in this video, we're going to talk about who I think could win rookie of the year. And I'm very excited for that as well. Let's hop in now into my all rookie second team. And there's quite a few good players on here. And you're going to start to notice a trend as well as we work through this on which kind of players I maybe gave a slight advantage in terms of the likelihood of winning, this accomplishment, this accolade of being named to the all rookie second team. And the first player I'm going to start with here is Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And no, I'm not talking about the big man from Arkansas, but that fun confusion there we got to see on draft night and shortly after at Thunder Media Day. But we're talking more so about the Santa Clara wing, who I think is a very impressive player just with his capability as a bigger player, more size like a forward, but his ability to handle the basketball. We saw a lot of that at Santa Clara, and his capability to manipulate the pick and roll, fit the ball into tight spaces, also hit shots off the move. Not only his willingness, but his actual capability of finishing plays like that. He's just an all-around good player. He's a pretty solid athlete as well. And like the theme you're going to see here, he's a little bit older. He's got a little bit more collegiate experience, and he's a little bit more comfortable, and I think is going to transition to the NBA game a little bit quicker than even, say, a guy like Ousmane Dieng, who's another counterpart of his, who I preferred Ousmane Dieng in the draft process. But this isn't about necessarily their draft ranks. This is about who I think is going to perform the most in year one of their careers. Of course, we were talking about their rookie campaigns, but I think Jalen Williams is someone who's really due for a pretty good start to his career. Now, does it mean he's going to become a superstar player? Probably not, right? Even if he averages, north of 12, 13 points a game, it doesn't mean that he's going to end up being a 22, 23 point per game scorer like we see some younger players ascend in their career. But I do think it's very possible that Jalen Williams has a very nice long tenure in the NBA because of his ability to play off the ball, with the ball in his hands, make plays both offensively and defensively. And he's just a smart player who can do a bunch of different things for an NBA roster. And now moving into our second spot, and remember, there is no positional requirements here for all rookie teams. Usually they just take the 5 guys with the most votes. for first team, and then the next 5 with the most votes after that for second team. And a guy who I think is going to be a lock for that second team as well is Mark Williams here from Charlotte with the Hornets. Obviously played for Duke and staying right there in that Carolina area. He's going to transition again really well now playing for Michael Jordan. We'll see if there's a little bit of that UNC Duke rivalry between those two. But obviously Michael Jordan put that behind him when he drafted this kid, and I can't blame him. 7'2", he's a grown man, and he's someone who's going to be able to make a ton of plays playing next to LaMelo Ball, especially as we see this Hornets franchise undergoing some change, right? A change in head coach back to Steve Clifford. They're also now at a point where they don't have Miles Bridges on this roster for obvious reasons. So how do they go about finding some of that production? I think Mark Williams, his athleticism and his size,
What do you mean by that?
are going to be really important for this team, specifically with their capability to not only score the basketball, but also on the defensive end. I think Mark Williams' length and size is going to be really important when protecting the rim and also keeping this team a little bit more competitive than we've seen in years past on the defensive end of the floor. He's very gifted as a lob catcher. He's also, I think, an underrated rebounder, an underrated defender, and somebody who I was surprised he fell out of the lottery. Charlotte did really well drafting him there at 15. And they're going to get a guy who, as a sophomore coming out of college, again, a little bit more experience, played some really high leverage games in the NCAA tournament, and is somebody who I think is going to have a really nice career as well, just like Jalen Williams. I see a little bit more upside for Mark Williams just because of how big and strong he is, but probably not anyone who you're going to actually feed the post, to. He's not going to be a back to the basket type of player, but he's going to be a really nice screen and roll dive guy in the league who can also provide some much needed rim protection there in Charlotte. As we transition now to our third member of the all rookie second team, I've got a player who is another sophomore, but was only spending 1 year at the program he just came out of. And of course, that's LSU, transferred in from Cincinnati. And that's Tari Eason, a player who early in the draft process, I just wasn't in love with him. But as time went on, got closer and closer to the draft, his production and his physical traits were too much to deny for me. And I think he's a player who has seriously immense upside. And I think he's going to be a producer in year one of his career, especially there in Houston, because they're going to give him opportunities to play a lot, which is partially some of the reason too on what dictates my lists here. Some players are going to have lesser opportunities to really shine because, hey, maybe their team's competing for a championship or even a playoff spot. And if that's the case, rookies usually tend to play a little bit less. So for Tari Eason, he's on a team that, hey, they want to tank. So let's play our young guys. Let's see what we got in these guys. And Tari Eason's going to see the floor a ton. And with his size, production, athleticism, I think he's going to be competent defensively. And I think he's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to watch offensively. He's one of those players who I think could become the media's baby when it comes to, hey, they really like this guy. They want him to succeed. They, really see the potential in him. And they're going to showcase that. The media ends up voting for these players, right? So they're the ones who really dictate who makes what lists, who gets what awards. And I think Tari Eason's going to be benefited by that as well because he's a very exciting player to watch. I think he's a good kid. I think he's someone who's really hardworking and is a heck of a basketball player. So all those things with the opportunity that he's going to have in Houston to showcase himself, I think the Rockets got a really good pick with Tari Eason. I was surprised he went as low as he did. Originally, I had been mocking him kind of in that range for most of the year, but then closer to the draft cycle, I started pushing him up a little bit because I thought with that athleticism and the talent, sixth man of the year in the SEC, was clearly the best player on LSU. I thought that this guy probably is going to get pushed up the draft order just a bit. Surprisingly, did not though. Number 4 now, a player who did not even go in the top 20 of the draft. And I've got Walker Kessler of the Utah Jazz, of course, was drafted by Tim Connolly and the Minnesota Timberwolves before getting eventually traded to Utah in a blockbuster trade for Rudy Gobert. And it's funny, all these Walker Kessler stands started to appear out of nowhere. I was high on Walker Kessler the entire process, but everyone was saying, well, Walker Kessler is going to give you 50% of Rudy. No, he's not. But what Walker Kessler is going to do is probably be the starting center this year for a Utah Jazz team that is completely tearing things down with a new coach in Will Hardy. They're ready to lose. We've seen this act before, specifically from some of the upper management there. You guys know who I'm talking about specifically. And I think Walker Kessler is in a great spot to probably average, 8 to 12 points a game, probably 8 to 12 rebounds a game, and he might even average 2 blocks. Last year at Auburn, he was averaging nearly 5 blocks per game, which is absolutely insane. The NBA is not going to be like that. It's going to be a little bit more challenging and difficult, no question about it. But for the National Defensive Player of the Year, he's going to get a lot of love from the media as well. And I think his impact defensively, even if he's, not winning a ton of games, rookie teams aren't about who wins the most, right? It's about who showcases their individual talent the most. And I think Walker Kessler is going to get some love for his defense for sure. And I think he's very deserving of this award as well. He's a sophomore player as well. So far we have no freshmen on this list. And as we head into my final spot here on the all-rookie second team, we've got a player who, again, is not a freshman, Ochai Agbaji from Kansas. Of course, got drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, 14th overall. Felt like the most obvious selection in the entire draft. I mocked that about 40 times, it felt like, this last draft process. And Agbaji lands in a situation that is really good for him and for Cleveland. And I think that's a big reason why he's a lock to make the all-rookie teams, because one, he's a senior coming out of Kansas, just came off of a national title run. Most of the media members already know who he is, and they're ready to be impressed by him, specifically with his role in today's league. He's going to be a 3-and-D wing and somebody who fits really well into Cleveland's roster. That team really needed another wing. I know there's a lot of high hopes for Isaac Okoro. He's one of the worst shooters in the entire league. Don't just look at the shot percentage. If you look at his average shot distance against, most teams don't even guard him. They usually give him about 9 to 10 feet of space, roughly per 3-point attempt. So quickly there, JB Bickerstaff is going to fall in love with the idea of Ochai Agbaji eating up a lot of those Isaac Okoro minutes, specifically because Agbaji is a heck of a 3-point shooter. And when you're looking at putting him next to Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, even Lauri Markkanen and Jared Allen, it really kind of fleshes out the rest of that roster, especially with Karis LeVert there too. I see Ochai Agbaji probably coming off the bench toward the start of the season, but let's say that Cleveland kind of falls in love with the idea of, hey, let's bring Karis LeVert off the bench. I could see them starting Ochai Agbaji at some point this year. I think they will. I'd be shocked if he starts 0 games this next year. And he's going to be a good player on one of the better teams. And I know that team success doesn't impact rookie voting, but I do think that, some media members do give a little bit of love to impactful basketball on a pretty good team. And I think Ochai Agbaji is going to be very benefited by that as well. I could see him, shooting splits of 45, 37, and 80. And that alone is going to be very intriguing for media members who look at the numbers and say, hey, he's pretty efficient as a rookie. He's good defensively. That's at least going to be the full narrative around him. I don't know how much of an on-ball stopper he is. I think there's going to be a little bit of an over-exaggeration to his defensive prowess, but I do think he's a solid defender for sure. And I think that alone, with his 3-point making skill set and his fit onto Cleveland, is going to help him be an all-rookie member, as I have him going on all-rookie second team. So there's my 5. You can see him now. Just to recap, we got Jalen Williams from Santa Clara to Oklahoma City. We got Mark Williams from Duke to Charlotte. We've got Tari Eason, of course, going from LSU with his 1-year stay there in Baton Rouge, going on to the Houston Rockets, in which was a really good draft for them. The Houston Rockets are not done in this video, by the way. Number 4, we got Walker Kessler, who I think is going to have a very impactful season for the Utah Jazz. And 5th, Ochai Agbaji for the Cleveland Cavaliers, after coming out of Kansas with a national title championship under his belt. I think that in Cleveland, he's going to help them win a ton as well. And that's a pretty good all-rookie second team. Obviously, you can tell did not really follow the draft order. And I did really provide a lot of reasoning toward the older guys getting some of these, awards and accolades, because I just think they're a little bit more ready for the moment here at the NBA. And then when we get down to all-rookie first team, this is where I'm really excited, because we've got a very top-heavy draft here as well. I talked about the depth in this draft. The top is so incredibly talented. And the first player I want to talk about is the guy who went first overall, Paolo Banchero. He is a lock to make all-rookie first team as long as he stays healthy. Someone knock on wood for me, please, because Paolo Banchero in Orlando, he was like the perfect fit there. I talked about talent throughout the draft process and said, maybe I don't think Paolo Banchero is better than a Chet Holmgren, better than a Jaden Ivey in my own opinion. But what I do think is Orlando needs the guy, someone who they can give the ball to and let him go to work. Now, for me, I would have still preferred Jaden Ivey, but I can completely understand the 6'10" approach. You take a bigger, strong guy, and Paolo Banchero, who's also capable of handling the basketball, putting it on the deck, getting to his spots, finishing over the defense. And he's pretty stout as a rebounder as well. Kind of what I'm looking for going into next season for him, somewhere around 18 points a game, which I think could lead all rookies potentially. 7 rebounds a game, very good number for a power forward, and 4 assists. So again, a very good number. Could he be like Julius Randle light his first year in the league? Potentially. And now, some people are going to say, whoa, stop with that comparison. We don't want to see Julius Randle 2.0 here. I'm not saying that's what he's going to become, but maybe year one, that's what his numbers kind of indicate. And that probably locks you up for an all-rookie first-team selection for sure, especially if Orlando plays a little bit better. The nice thing there is they have some defensive components around him. I like that they have Wendell Carter, who can also stretch the floor. Hopefully Jonathan Isaac can play this year and be healthy. Franz Wagner is a very good second-year player as well. We saw how good he was as an all-rookie first-team selection himself last year. And I think Paolo Banchero was kind of the missing piece here, another creator for that team. I still think that they have to find a guard. Jalen Suggs, I think, is a good player. I just think that they need someone who's, more of a true lead dominant guard, which is why I would have considered Jaden Ivey. But, there's some pros and cons there as well. So I understand why they went with Paolo Banchero. And again, I think it's justified. I thought it was a really good fit. I think he's a really good player. And I think he's someone who's going to help this team long term. Even if they don't win a ton this year, he's going to put up his numbers. He's going to be an all-rookie first-team selection. And talking about numbers, we're going to go into a guy who I think a lot of people are underrating in terms of what his statistical output will be, maybe this season even, and that's Keegan Murray. I could see him averaging anywhere from 15 to 17 points a game, and being a guy who is like the perfect third or fourth option for a team, specifically Sacramento here, playing off of Domantas Sabonis, who is very ball dominant around the high post. You need to have guys who can cut off of that. Maybe you're going to get some high-low action between Sabonis and also Keegan Murray. And he's also going to rebound the heck out of the basketball. He's going to probably struggle to get assists, especially with the way that Sacramento is going to run this offense. Keegan Murray wasn't getting a ton of assists last year at Iowa as a sophomore himself. But also the fact that he's a sophomore, I think he's a little bit more ready than some of the other freshmen in this class. And he's still very talented. I think that there's a little bit of a misconception on how I feel about Keegan Murray. Now, do I prefer him over a Jaden Ivey or a Chet Holmgren long-term? No, I don't. But I think that right now he's good. Sacramento wants to try and make a playoff push, even though I think that's a lot of false hope. They're going to be better this year than they've been in probably 5-10 years. That's already valuable, and realistically for a team that hasn't made the playoffs for a majority of my life, it's important to keep taking steps in the right direction. I think Keegan Murray's going to really validate their draft selection with how well he's going to play this rookie season. He's going to have a very nice year. He's a perfect fit next to De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, which is why I had mocked him there multiple times, saying that, hey, I think Keegan Murray's realistically going to go 4th overall to Sacramento after the lottery went down. And it just felt like the right actual case for them in terms of, hey, this is what we need. This is what we want to add. And it fits right in. And that's why Keegan Murray's going to have a lot of statistical success as a rookie as well. Then moving in to another all-rookie first-team selection. This is the third guy I'm naming here, and it's Jaden Ivey. No surprises here from anyone who's been watching my videos. I love Jaden's game. He's dynamic, explosive. He's got elite range on his three-point shot. I know a lot of people are going to be, what are you saying here? I'll try and get clips in here that showcase him shooting well beyond the three-point arc. Even though his percentage doesn't indicate that he's a great three-point shooter, when you look at his degree of difficulty with the range he shoots with, he's got a very good three-point shot to him, simply because he shot 36% from three last year for Purdue. I think he's going to follow that up this year as well and have a very nice shooting season. I think there's going to be no issue for him adjusting to the NBA three-point line, especially using that Wilson basketball. And I think he's also going to average about 4 and 4. I could see those assist numbers going up a little bit higher. But at the same time, I think Detroit's going to play a little bit more equal opportunity offense. I do have a Pistons season preview up on the channel that really goes into depth on those two, how they can play together, and really how impactful those two guys could be. And I'm very excited about that. But Jaden Ivey, for me, he's a lock. If he's healthy, he's an all-rookie first-team selection. I don't even think you think twice about it. And I think, honestly, when we get toward the end of the season, people are going to be saying, wow, how did Jaden Ivey go as low as 5th overall? I really do think that's going to be a conversation that we probably see on First Things First or ESPN at some point. Stephen A. Smith's going to be crying, how did the Pistons get my guy? He's going to be doing that whole number, even though he didn't say anything about Jaden Ivey the entire draft process because he probably didn't know who he was. Moving on to my fourth all-rookie selection, we got a player here from Indiana, and I'm talking about Bennedict Mathurin. People were, I think, really low on him throughout the draft process, and I kept trying to warn people. I had him as a top 7 player throughout the entire draft process, and I continually deemed him as a player that would be perfect for Rick Carlisle, hypothetically, if Indiana were to draft him. Well, there he is. He consistently reminded me of a Tim Hardaway Jr. type of player offensively, with a little bit more bounce and a little bit more defensive prowess as well than Tim Hardaway Jr. And if you mix all of those things together, you get a really dang good basketball player. And maybe he's benefited here by Chet Holmgren being out. Maybe he wouldn't be on my all-rookie first team had Chet Holmgren been healthy this year, but we'll never know. Chet Holmgren's out with an injury. Insert Bennedict Mathurin here, and I think he's going to score a ton of points playing next to Tyrese Halliburton. He's highly athletic, and they're going to get out and run. Halliburton's a very good facilitator of the basketball as well. It's still going to be the Halliburton show there in Indiana, but Bennedict Mathurin's going to steal a lot of that show as well, just with his ability to actually finish off plays, get to the rim. When he cuts, he's dynamic and dominant. I just hope he continues to do it more and more and increase his frequency on that. But I think with his range, his ability to make shots off the bounce, he's going to be a very deadly rookie player. One thing that I'm really watching for him, though, and this is a little negative, he shot only about 31% from 3 last year on catch and shoot 3 opportunities. He shot over 35% from 3 holistically, which shows he's very good off the bounce. But on the easiest, quote unquote easiest, shots in all of basketball, which is the catch and shoot 3, he struggled a little bit. So playing off of Halliburton, how will he do in that? My guess is with Carlisle, just like how he made slight adjustments to Tim Hardaway Jr. shots in Dallas, I think that he's going to maybe do so as well with Mathurin, and we're going to see a little bit more efficiency from him. I think Indiana's in really good hands. I trust that coaching staff that they got there, and I also really trust their 2 young guards now in Tyrese Halliburton and Ben Mathurin. He's very deserving of an all-rookie first-team consideration at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he makes it in here. And my final all-rookie selection, Jabari Smith, who went 3rd overall to the Houston Rockets. And you're going to see my prediction here for him, 13 points a game. And people are going to say, whoa, that's pretty low. Why do you think he's only going to score 13 points a game? Well, he's playing with 2 shooting guards all the time. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, those 2 guys are score-first guards. Now, I know that Kevin Porter Jr. has gotten better. Rockets fans, don't get mad at me. But realistically, he came into this league as a 2. In my mind, he's still a 2. They're playing him at the 1. There's no surprise that Houston's probably going to be the worst team in the Western Conference this year because they're young and they're playing a shooting guard at point guard. Those 2 things do not lead to winning, and that's fine. That's not what hurts Jabari Smith here, but what hurts him is when he's wide open and his guards don't see him. We saw that a ton in Summer League. Obviously, that wasn't KPJ or Jalen Green, but those 2 guys are going to take a good amount of shots. So naturally, Jabari Smith is not going to score as much as I think some of these other rookies. Look at Keegan Murray off of Sabonis. Talked about Bennedict Mathurin with Halliburton. Jaden Ivey next to Cade. Paolo Banchero is going to be running the show there in Orlando. All those guys are going to have their touches and be more so creators or, finishers for creators next to them. Jabari Smith's not really in that role right now with what's around him. But what I do think is Jabari Smith's such a good shot creator and shot maker. Not shot creator, shot maker specifically, that he's going to knock down a high percentage of his attempts. He's going to be very efficient, and he's going to be one of the best defensive rookies this year, if not the best defensive rookie, especially now with Chet Holmgren out. And that is going to be huge in the eyes of the beholders, which of course are the media who vote on these awards again. I think that just like last year, Evan Mobley got a lot of credit for his defensive prowess. Jabari Smith's going to be in similar conversations this year. I don't think Jabari Smith's as good of a defender as Evan Mobley, but at certain points, he just seems defensively overwhelming for perimeter players. With his length, quickness, and size, it's going to be a real challenge to score on him one-on-one consistently at the NBA level. He does a really good job challenging 3-point shots without fouling frequently. He's going to get a ton of blocks out on the perimeter, which you rarely see. And I think this list is really all-encompassing on how you can win certain awards in the NBA, even if you're not scoring the ball as much as some other guys. Jabari Smith, I think he's a talented scorer. I think he's just as talented as most of these guys in terms of his actual ability to make it, take and make shots. But the issue is in Houston, he's just going to have a little bit less opportunity to do so. But nonetheless, I still think he's going to be a very good player, which is why I have him on my all-rookie first team. I hope this doesn't come across as a slight at all. Houston, I think you're in a really good spot still. I loved your guys' draft picks this year. Ty Washington, I think, was another good one coming off the bench. Maybe he'll help Jabari Smith get some touches as well in certain key spots. But overall, I feel really strongly about the all-rookie first team. Let's take another look at it here again. I had Paolo Banchero, Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey, Jabari Smith, and Bennedict Mathurin. When it comes to some honorable mentions for all-rookie awards, I think that Jalen Duren would be one that I would definitely throw in there. You guys are probably going to be surprised I left him off. He is in a position battle right now with Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Stewart, Nerlens Noel's there as well. There's a full center room. So he's probably going to be playing, 20 minutes a night, which already diminishes his chances there in Detroit. And for Duren in general, I was already talking about him as a development long-term. I think he can be great. He's not going to be year one as good as some of these guys, which is completely fine. And people always overreact to year one. So try your hardest to not do that, because some of these players are going to take huge steps going into years 2, 3, 4 of their career. And that's when we'll really get to know who these players are for sure. But year one's always so much fun because you get your first real taste of the NBA with these guys, and you get to really see what they're about. I think Duren's really the big honorable mention for me. If you have questions about other rookies this year, go ahead and ask me. I would love to share my thoughts on them. Again, I'm not trying to slight any players here. I can only pick 10 spots. And for my rookie of the year, this is what everyone's been waiting for at the end of the video. My selection for rookie of the year going into it, who I would have to guess is going to be the rookie of the year. It's between 3 guys now at this point with Chet Holmgren out. I think the finalists are going to be Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, and Paolo Banchero. And ultimately, I think Paolo Banchero wins the award because he's going to have the ball more than any of these other rookies, in my opinion. And I think that's going to give him a real statistical advantage, which again is really big in the eyes of the media when they're voting. If he's just flat out scoring more points per game than all the other rookies, it's going to do a real big favor to him in terms of, really giving him the award probably. I would love to see Jaden Ivey get it. I hope he does. Keegan Murray, I think, is going to be right in the conversation as well for deserving. And maybe something comes out of left field. Maybe Jabari Smith, maybe Ben Mathurin. Who knows? Maybe a guy I didn't even mention in this video. How awesome would that be? But that's my thoughts here on the all-rookie teams and the rookie of the year vote, who I would probably guess would get those awards. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Give me your all-rookie teams, first and second team. I'd love to hear it. And then also give me your thoughts on the rookie of the year. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Really do appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe and like for more NBA content like this. And we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.